Hey everyone, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. It really means the world to us. Just a quick little baby heads up for this episode. We ran into a few technical hiccups, so you might catch a few frozen frames and some muffled audio sneaking in. That's our bad. We promise it's still a good time, especially with today's scene work choice. Anyway, we hope you enjoy the chaos, glitches and all. Stay real, fakers.
Was it lust or just good blocking? Was that moan from joy or mocking? The towel stayed on, but the tension was thick. Was it sexy or just a camera trick? From kisses to caresses, we're breaking down the yeses. Faking it with Ariel and Morgan.
Hi, I'm Ariel Lee Cohen,
Hey, I'm Morgan Smith.
and we are the hosts of Faking It with Ariel and Morgan.
We are two intimacy coordinators here to talk about the spicy scenes you see in film and TV.
I feel like every time I start the episode where I'm just like, you've seen me film TV, I'm just like, yeah, every single time.
I think that's fine.
I just don't know what to do with my body. I'm like, hooray! Like,
Because it doesn't feel final enough, and it's like, ta-da!
Ta-da! Maybe that's the new thing. Ta-da! Okay, cool.
All right, we are going to start off with Hot Off the Set, where we share recent on-set stories with all identifying details such as names, places, and project titles changed for privacy. Then, in Scene Work, we'll watch an intimacy scene in real time and rate it using our spice scale, scoring it across 3 categories and giving it a final letter grade. We'll have notes and links in our captions in case you want to watch the scene yourself. And after that, in Position to Know, we'll answer common questions we get about our work. So, let's kick it off with Hot Off the Set.
Yeah! We should make this a musical. Faking
It
It the
should.
musical.
It should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, great. For my hot off the set, originally the actor had agreed to topless nudity and implied bottom nudity. So when it's implied, for those who don't know, it's basically like we as camera, as the audience, are assuming that he's not wearing anything on the bottom, even though they're usually wearing shorts, underwear, some kind of dance belt, or a modesty garment. In the last minute, the actor changed his mind, which he is allowed to do. Consent is reversible. And he said, I am no longer comfortable with showcasing any nudity, including topless nudity. This is a movie that was based on a bunch of chefs in some kind of competition. If we just put the apron on him, it will cover the majority of his chest. Then the plan was he was going to stand in front of her, be a little cocky, and then he was going to turn around and walk away. And we'll imply buttocks nudity as he walks. With the apron, though, now we have more availability as far as what we can shoot on camera. So that actually helped out the shot a lot. It went from, a medium close-up to almost a wide, which was pretty nice. But the one note I kept getting from production was, it's not sexy enough. How do we make him look sexier with an apron? And I'm like, it mostly looks comical. When folks have strongly defined abdominal muscles, pectoral muscles, standing slightly angled with the light slightly above is always the way to go because it kind of shadows all the six-pack. Basically, we end up moving the apron slightly in so we could see more of the pectoral muscles and kind of angled him and shot it with the light. Ultimately speaking, it worked for the scene. The actor was happy. Everyone walked away happy.
I love it because it talks about the challenges of, like, we still need this person to read sexy in a garment that's not seen as traditionally sexy on them. And I love that the answer was cleavage.
Yeah.
Because no matter what body it's on, cleavage is hot.
Cleave is hot. You gotta love the cleave.
Love the cleave. My hot off the set is from a project I worked on a while ago. The scene was a simulated sex scene where 2 of the 3 people involved in the scene were tied together by their wrists and their ankles. And in between takes, like, we would have to reset stuff. There was like fog they were bringing in for vibes. And so we kept the actors tied. it was very loose. So like their circulation was cool. They felt comfortable. And at one point, the actress was like, "Hey, I don't know if this is your job or wardrobes, but I have a wedgie. Would you be able to get it for me?" And I was like, "I could totally do that. Wardrobe could do that. Whoever you want." And she's like, "You can just do it. It's fine." And so I was like, "Okay, this is another moment that didn't come up in the training." So I started from the hips and worked my way down until I was like close enough that I could just like pull the underwear out without getting like too close to the inside of her cheeks. And I was really proud of myself for coming up with this technique on the fly.
That's pretty great. It's really tough when folks are tied up to things, particularly like I work on a lot of BDSM scenes.
Yeah.
So that is a common occurrence. And
Mhm.
usually you have to have a pretty quick way of getting them out of those restraints, depending on what they are, or
Yeah.
have scissors at the ready and have extra rope if it's a rope scenario. But yeah, that is a thing that happens also in the regular old kink community when you're like, something's feeling a little off. Can I get some assistance here? So great work.
Thank you.
Great ingenuity right there.
Thank you. It's an honor. I know BDSM is one of your specialties. So if you approve, then I feel like I did the right thing.
Of course I approve. So in scene work today, I have brought something in. You see, audience will go back and forth about who's bringing in what. And sometimes we've seen it and sometimes we haven't. But we're going to react to this either way. Have you ever watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yes, but when it came out, for all intents and purposes, not really. Like I remember so little of It's Always Sunny.
Noted.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got a doozy for you.
Great.
Yeah, well, you probably haven't seen it because it's season 6. The episode is A Very Sunny Christmas Season, season 6, episode 13 in 2010, starring Danny DeVito, Rob Mack,
Not bad.
Glenn Howerton, and Charlie Day and Caitlin Olsen. I think it is important to give you some context here, but I
Okay.
feel like I'm going to really limit it. Dee and Dennis, who originally were raised by Frank, they have realized since that they are not actually his biological children, and now they're kind of friends slash coworkers. At this point in the episode, there is a Christmas party. Dee and Dennis are trying to make it so Frank gets to hear his coworkers talking shit about him. And so they come up with an extremely crazy plan to make that the case.
Okay.
I think that's the bizarre context I'm going to give you.
I'm excited for this. Let's do it.
Hey, happy holidays, huh?
Holiday party
doing
with
over
red
here?
solo
No,
cups.
no.
For Christ's sakes, they're gonna notice.
Oh yeah,
This
there's
is tough.
fully
Hold on,
like
hold
a
on.
human inside
Grab
the
that guy.
couch.
We're,
Walk around here
consultationists.
for this.
I love
across Wall
consultationists.
Street.
Is there a man on that couch?
What are you
You
saying? a
can
man in a
fully
couch?
see the imprint.
Hello.
So there is a man on the couch.
There's definitely a man in the couch.
An asshole.
Who is Frank Reynolds?
He's the man in the couch.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and now he's bursting out of the couch like a newborn baby. Oh my god, does he have baby oil all over him? And now we're walking out and we're seeing Danny DeVito's butt, his whole body. I never thought I would see a naked Danny DeVito.
It is your lucky day, man.
It is. It's my lucky day. Wow.
So, what'd you think?
This doesn't have to do with intimacy, but it's worse when they were like, "Who is Frank?" I'm like, I feel like that's worse than being shit talked.
It's feeling I don't even know who that is.
I don't even know him, but then he comes out naked, and I'm like, okay, so was the plan just to punish them for talking shit by coming out naked, or he just like gave up on the plan?
He basically gave up on the plan because he was like, it's too hot in there. I watched a bunch of interviews with Danny DeVito about this scene, and he basically was saying, like, it was so hot inside of that couch, like, because it's vinyl.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is also the lines he just comes out going, hot, hot, so hot. He said he was like all greased up, so he would just slide out like it was.
I was
being
wondering
burnt.
that. I'm like, he
Yeah.
looked greased up.
baby oiled head to toe so he could just be birthed into the world to be a couch.
Mhm.
He also said that when he originally agreed to it, it didn't factor in with him that there would be so many background in the scene. Like,
Oh,
he knew they would be there, and he obviously knew when he was getting into the couch how many people would be there. But when he originally agreed, he was like, I've worked with these guys forever. This is season 6. I feel completely comfortable coming out with,
right.
a cock sock on and just living my life." But then when he came out, he's like, oh my God, so many people can see me so naked.
Oh.
Um, he said that Caitlin Olsen, he pops out, and Caitlin Olsen was in such shock about this scenario that they were in that she couldn't remember she had a line. So he's just standing there, completely nude for the most part, with just one small modesty garment on. And he was just like, hot, hot, hot. What's going on? And she was like, oh, do I have a line? I'm sorry. There's actually a blooper on YouTube you can find that has that. It's hilarious to watch, but like also what a vulnerable thing to do in front of a lot of strangers. Particularly when
Yeah.
you're Danny DeVito, who has a certain amount of power and people know who he is at this
Right.
point.
Right. I mean, getting almost completely naked in front of a huge group of people, I think is an unusual experience for a lot of folks. It's interesting that, like, when he originally agreed to it, he didn't know how many background there was going to be. I wonder what the conversation was. If it was like, oh, it's a Christmas party, there are going to be people there. But obviously, you can't give an exact number. There's a big difference between like a small Christmas party where it's going to be the main cast that you know, and then 10 extras versus that very full room that looked like it probably had at least like 30 to 50 maybe people in it moving around.
Who knows? When you feel safe, you are a better actor. So it's very possible that he didn't even know how many background there would be until day of when he saw the call sheet. And it
Right.
just says like 40 BG or whatever. I don't know. I used to do a lot of background work when I was living in New York, and you don't know anything about your scene. You get like one line about generally what's happening, and you're like, all right, here we go. How would we approach this?
I mean, if I was going to coordinate this scene today, which obviously when they made this, the position did not exist,
Yes, correct.
I would get some clarity from production on what is the range of people that are going to be in this room, numbers wise. Like, if we can't get exact, is it between like 20 and 30? Is it 1 to 10? Just so that when we're presenting this option to Danny DeVito, he can be as informed as possible. And then also on the day, we have this many background people. Does that change anything for you in terms of what you want to do for the scene? Because we could have still implied full nudity and maybe had him wearing like very small shorts that were flesh toned, for example. And then he comes out and we don't see his butt, and which comedically is a loss, but if he's not comfortable with it, that's totally fine. I would also have talked to the AD about like, okay, he's going into the couch. How? What's the fabric? Is there a breathing hole? I mean, because I've dealt with stuff where people are under fabric before, and the actor is like going to be in there for a minute because they got to be in there while they're setting up the shot and everything. You've got all these hot lights on them. We don't have AC on because it makes noise. So, how can we make this as comfortable as possible? So,
I love your answer. I think, yeah, I would definitely also try to talk to background and let them know as well,
yes.
even if maybe it has to be day of. Because if background is interacting within the intimacy of the scene, then you would speak to them ahead of time. But if it's just the day of and there's 40 people, the likelihood is you're not going to have that opportunity, especially when
Mhm.
background folks they cancel last minute, they hire last minute, you never really
Totally.
know. So I would definitely speak to them day of and just let them know what the plan was and try to limit the takes as much as possible. But the
Yeah.
whole thing is one shot. He's pushing against the fabric. He is birthed out of it, a la Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of walks out of the room. If they were cutting around this, I would say, okay,
Yeah.
well, if you're doing the first part in one shot And then the part where he walks out of the room in another, I'd say, okay, maybe let's try to clear more people out of the room when he walks out of the scene. But since it's all just one thing, start to
Yep.
finish, you kind of just gotta get it moving. Well, let's move into the spice scale, our not so scientific way of rating intimacy scenes based on consent and power dynamics, technical craft and coordination excellence, and heat factor. Every category gets a score from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. Then we add it all up, give the scene a final letter grade. So, starting off with consent and power dynamics, how does this scene depict consent and power in the story, if known behind the scenes? I do want to add that it was in the scene Danny DeVito, Frank's idea to get into the couch.
Totally. I mean, it's funny because it is his idea to get into the couch. He wasn't forced in, and he can get himself out, clearly.
Yes, clearly he can get himself out of there.
He's also the brains behind this whole operation because he's forcing them to ask these people to talk shit or like instigate the shit talking, right? Because he wants to overhear it. Right. And the reality sounds like no one's even talking about him.
No one is talking about him at all, so he did it for nothing.
They will now. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to give it a neutral 3 because it's not the best example of power dynamics that I've seen. I mean, that's not really what this scene is about. It is a little bit in terms of their relationship and trying to get the shit talking. And I guess they're playing with the idea that he's supposed to be high status and seeing like who's talking shit about me. And then he walks out naked, which makes him low status. And that's fun. So for that, I'll just give it a 3.
Okay. Everyone is consenting technically, except that none of the background characters are consenting to this at all.
Right.
So it kind of changes the power dynamic a little bit. So I kind of want to downgrade to a 2.
Sure. Yeah, because no one else is in on it.
No one else is in on it, and the people who are in on it have kind of nefarious purposes behind the decision to put him in the couch. Yeah. A person can only consent if they are given the full information of what's going on in a situation. That's one of the specifications of what consent is in the first place. So the characters in this scene, we don't know who is comfortable with this and who isn't. I'm talking about the characters, not the actors.
Right.
The actors have probably been informed. But the characters, some people may be offended by this, some people may not.
It reminds me of exhibitionism and the idea that you're exposing yourself to people, and there are ethical ways of doing that, and then there are less ethical ways of doing that. He's not in a space where people are like, there's going to be nudity here and I consent to that. He's in a regular 9-to-5 office party, so no one is expecting any nudity, and then he brings nudity on everyone. I don't even know if his not son and daughter know that he's fully naked or not.
You know what? I don't even remember anymore. I don't remember. I could be wrong about this, but I think the idea is that he went into the couch with clothes and while in there took them off because it got too hot.
But also how? There is no room for movement. I mean, I love that as a story. It's hilarious and it's very in line with something Frank would do. So that totally makes sense to me. And then the power dynamics, I mean, a lot of the joke is like he goes from thinking he's above these people who are talking shit to walking out with his butt hanging out. To go from thinking you're so high status to like walking out like a freshly delivered baby.
Right?
Yeah.
Just so greasy. So
amazing.
Greasy.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to technical craft and coordination excellence. This is the staging, film coverage, modesty protection, choreography, and overall execution of the scene. When he does that rollover from inside the couch to the floor, his leg and stomach are meeting in such a way that it completely hides his genitalia perfectly, even in motion. And that's pretty hard to do.
The fact that it's all a continuous shot and it's not cut up.
Yeah.
meaning he has to keep in mind where the camera is the entire time. And coming out of the couch and you're really hot, it must be disorienting. And yet he has to keep all of that in his head. And because he's Danny DeVito, who's a pro, he pulls this off like a champ. Last, there was a modesty garment used. It did a really good job of covering him, but also looking like he was totally naked because the angles they got, they were like, we're getting as close to seeing it as we possibly can without seeing it.
He didn't use the words cocksock, but the way he described it makes me believe that that's what he was wearing, which
Yeah.
is, for those who don't know, basically just a little pouch with a drawstring. And you put everything in there and then you just tie it up. And a lot of the times they're not great because they just sort of fall down the shaft progressively as the scene goes on, particularly if you're in motion a lot as an actor. He said like it was basically not very helpful, but there was modesty production. I do appreciate that. The film coverage was good. What are you giving the scene?
I think I'm going to give it a 5 because it pulled it off really well and in one take, baby.
I also want to give it a 5. I was thinking that earlier as well. It was
Yeah.
really, really good
Yeah,
for as
really good.
insane as it is. Heat factor, the level of erotic charge or sexual tension in the scene. What do you think?
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to give it a 0.
This is our first 0, ladies and gentlemen, and others.
Because I know they're playing his nudity for laughs. They're not meaning for him to be sexy. And this isn't about like whether or not you find Danny DeVito attractive, although obviously that does come into play a little. It's meant to be kind of a humiliation for him. So we're not meant to feel any erotic charge or sexiness towards him. They're using the metaphor of a baby being born, and they're not doing it in a sexual way. Like there are times where that metaphor is sexual. This super not. It's gross. It's weird. It's awkward.
He's basically like screaming as he exits
Yes.
the couch womb.
Yes.
And it's just like. Also, I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says couch womb on it. Just
God,
Danny
yes.
DeVito's face. For me, it has nothing to do with Danny DeVito's physique or anything. It really just is how greasy he is. He's just
Yeah.
so like a baby, hairless, greasy sort of
Yeah.
monster. Like
It's not like they sprayed him up so he'd look sweaty. It's so specifically greasy, you know,
Yeah.
like a dolphin skin. Like you just slide right off of him.
All right, great. I'm also
Amazing.
on board for 0. That brings
Oh
our
my
total
gosh.
to 7, which is unfortunately an F. Oh no.
Oh man. We are at our final segment, Position to Know, where we'll answer common questions we get about our work.
A question I get a lot, and it's not necessarily in these words, but the general idea is, do you ever feel awkward, or does the professionalism take that away pretty quickly? So basically, this is referencing when I'm at monitor and I'm watching a simulated sex scene. If I were watching this scene, for example, would I feel awkward in the moment,
Yeah.
or just having seen these things so many times, does that go away because you're in professional headspace? I've seen some crazy stuff. Morgan has seen some crazy stuff with like horses and stuff. So I don't even know. As intimacy coordinators, generally speaking, we are kind of desensitized to these things, just in a general sense. Not that we don't get excited when a shot looks particularly good, or the strong grip of a fingertip makes the scene look that much sexier, or that the passion is looking a certain way with the breath. I think that I just never feel awkward about these things because that is not my personality. And I think that's the case with a lot of intimacy coordinators, although I can't speak for everyone. I don't feel awkward, partially because personality wise, it's just not something I tend to be shocked by when it comes to nudity or intimacy on screen.
Right.
But even more than that, you're clicked on into that headspace. You are watching body language like a hawk. You are seeing everyone in the crew also and making sure they're doing all right. You're making sure it's the scene that the director described to you as best as you're able to shape it. I don't think there's time to feel awkward. What do you think?
I specifically at Monitor, I've never felt awkward because at that point I'm fully in work mode. At this point now in my career, I don't feel awkward about any aspect of the job. And I would say, especially at Monitor, because then I'm so focused on exactly what's happening and are we getting the shot and is that working right? Do they seem like they're doing okay? Oh, he said he had a bad knee. Let me look out for his knee. Like, I'm just thinking about too many things. I will say, when I first started as an intimacy coordinator, I had moments where I felt awkward because, especially when I was in training, I started when we were in lockdown. So a lot of the work I did was virtual. So then when I was working in real life with people and saying, hey, you're going to take all of your stuff and put it inside this sock and seal it up. There was a little part of me that was like, this is new. That's not something I had done before. Baby intimacy coordinator me definitely had some awkward moments, but that went away pretty quickly after a couple of jobs.
I'll tell you one thing I do feel awkward about
Yeah.
sometimes is when I put my own foot in my mouth. I can get a little
Sure.
awkward.
Sure.
I was on set, and one thing that I tend to say when I'm not exactly sure what is going to make the actor feel most motivated in emotion. So if the motion is to reach out to another actor and we're deciding what hand, and it truly doesn't matter which for camera, which hand they're using to reach, I'll usually say something along the lines of, all right, well, what feels most motivated? What feels natural for you, hand wise? And, and then we were doing a scene that was a simulated attempted sexual assault scene. And we hadn't gotten that far into it, but the actor needed to reach for her hand and pull her toward him. What I said was, what feels most instinctual for you when you go to grab her? And he was like, none of this. None of this feels instinctual for me. And I was like, oh my God, you are so right. I'm going to rephrase that right now. What a thing to say. So that was awkward as hell. But
Yeah.
beyond that, I don't feel it at Monitor, or at least.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have had people ask, like, do I get aroused when I'm at Monitor or watching the scene that I'm working on, which is an understandable question. Like, we're watching simulated sex scenes, we're watching scenes that are designed to have some kind of erotic charge a good amount of the time, right? It's so technical at that point. I think for most people involved in shooting these scenes, like, I can be aware when a scene is effective, but I'm not personally getting aroused, if that makes sense. Like, I can understand, like, the chemistry is good, the choreography is working the way we want it to, it's telling the story. I think audiences are going to respond to this, but I'm personally not feeling that.
I agree. I get excited. I don't get aroused. I
Yes.
think when you get that right shot and they did just the right thing, or they do an unexpected thing that is within boundaries and it's looking great, I get very excited. I'm like, ooh. And sometimes the
Yes.
director and I will look at each other and be like, yes, that was great.
Yes.
But I don't feel anything tingling in the loins because of anything that anyone is
Yeah.
doing. I think that would make me feel awkward if that were to happen.
Yes. Had anything to plug, Ariel?
Slugs. I was just interviewed by The Vertical Take, which is another podcast just about verticals where they interview actors and such. I'm on their 40th episode special.
Ooh.
So go check that out wherever you watch or listen to podcasts.
Amazing. I love that. A project I worked on called Lawyered Up just got into the Newport Beach Film Festival. And that one was really cool. I actually want to talk about it really quick. The story was, this woman is getting divorced. It's a sci-fi, takes place in an alternate present, and her divorce lawyer is an AI robot human.
Oh.
He's designed to, like, give her exactly what she wants, like, say the thing that she wants to hear and everything. And the idea is he's great at being a divorce lawyer because he has no emotion. but because he's designed to give her exactly what she wants, it ends up getting romantic and they sleep together. And it was a really fun scene to choreograph because we wanted to give him like some sense of not being human, not like robotic where it's like this, but just
Uh-huh.
he's like too perfect and too smooth. And like we wanted to make sure his
like
abs looked like too chiseled. And that was really fun to work on.
All right, y'all. We'll catch Faking It every other hump day, Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
And make sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends, and review us because it really does help.
You can follow us on all social media at Faking It the Pod.
You can join our Patreon for free, or if you become a paid subscriber, starting at only $1, you can tell us what scenes you want us to talk about and request them for future episodes, get bonus content, and more. Stay real, fakers.
Faking it with Ariel and Morgan.
Faking It with Ariel and Morgan is produced independently by Ariel Lee Cohen and Morgan Smith, edited by Ariel, and social media and branding by Morgan. Our theme song is Faking It by Suno AI until we get monetized, so feel free to send us a new one. Have questions, thoughts, or media recommendations? Hit us up at fakingthepod.com. Find us on all socials at Faking the Pod and head over to our Patreon for bonus content. Credits for the film or show we reacted to are in the episode caption.
Woo!
Maddie, hang tight, hang tight. Maddie, no. No growlies. I'm trying
No
to
growlies.
hear. I'm trying to hear the story about the tying up right now. Okay.
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 We got it.
Yeah, I thought of another hot off the set, but I think I'm going to use it tomorrow. In the next
Tomorrow.
one.
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
use it
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
that is fine.
All right,
I'm gonna turn on my AC real quick because
Oh, you're turn yours on? What? How
no, I'm
dare you.
turning it off so I can fly
Rock and roll.
off.
All right, cool.
I mean, the premise, as always, with It's Always Sunny, is it's flawless. Like, great plan from the beginning. I'm going to hide inside the couch, which means not I'm going under the cushions or reconstructing the couch. It's I'm just going to put myself behind the fake leather so that there's like a full imprint of a person's like face and hands, like kind of when you creepily see like a baby's foot from inside a mom's belly,
Mm-hmm.
just so we could hear people talk shit. And honestly, I think it's worse that
And I have a 45-minute complaint about not using AC because of sound. I'm always sweating so much. It drives me crazy. It's not safe. We live in LA. I've seen people pass out. Like, it's
Yep.
horrible. But also, I hate it in general. It's sweaty. and
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, no, it's very uncomfortable. I think that's the heat exhaustion or just general discomfort of being on a set a lot of the time is very real. I did see there's a camera operator I know who has this vest that is both a heating and a cooling vest.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
nice.
I think that
I-
can really come in handy.
I do have a heating vest for the winter. And it is my favorite thing. I've worn it in Montana on shoots. It's choice and highly recommend it. I
Yeah.
did also get heated pants, but I didn't end up wearing those. Because I get cold easily also. I don't
Yeah.
do weather well. This is great bonus content. But anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing because like you're from New England
Mm.
or
Well,
Northeast.
I'm from the Northeast. I did live in Vermont for a while.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to New York and then over
Yeah.
here. So yeah, you'd think I'd be good at temperatures. But I'm not. I've never been good.
I mean, I'm from Connecticut and I'm terrible at temperatures. I've gone soft.
I don't think I was ever hard. Sex jokes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I just want to talk about briefly about plugs. We, as intimacy coordinators, work like 1 to 2 days usually on any one project, and then it takes 6 months, sometimes less, sometimes more, for a project to come out. So we work on tons of projects, one right after another. I'm not 100% sure what is coming out right now versus what I just worked on. But
I feel like
go
it can
watch
mush
Drama
together.
Box. Yeah, go watch some Drama Box stuff. It's fun. Oh, you know what I can plug actually? I have a plug. Speaking of podcasts,
This is going on the cutting room floor that doesn't exist because it's video.
there's an imaginary cutting room floor. There's a lot in the imaginary cutting room floor.
There is. There is. That's why we
But
love
we're
it.
getting
Okay.
better. We're getting tighter at this, I will say.
You know, a couple of fucking pros.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, also, yeah, okay. No, good.
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
tell you
no,
after.
go ahead. Okay.
No, I'll tell you after.
Okay.